The greatest lie in productivity is that you need more hours in the day, but the truth is you need more focus in the hours you have. So if you're the type of person who values things like individual growth, progress, or originality, then you're probably as obsessed with being efficient and getting stuff done as I am. You've probably watched tens if not hundreds of productivity / proper hustle videos, and the thing that you could have figured out is that most productivity advice fails. Why? Because 99% of the things are by default not sustainable. So what is even the point of being productive if willpower is a finite resource, and in some time you will most likely get right back into trying to be productive instead of actually being productive? And so in this video I decided to share with you the 3 biggest lies in productivity that you need to unlearn, because if you don't unlearn them, you have a pretty big chance of staying exactly where you are, spinning the wheels and not feeling like you make any significant progress. When I was trying to figure out how to actually make progress, I struggled bad for months. I was trying to be as efficient as possible, and I had the belief in my head that productivity is either about 10-hour workdays, sacrificing my sleep, or getting as many things as possible done all at once. And obviously I couldn't sustain it. My fitness progress went to shit. I started stressing myself out for no reason just because I didn't have enough sleep, and I looked like a literal zombie trying to fit school, part-time job, YouTube, SMMA, fitness, and learning into my life at the same time. And so long story short, when I tried to follow all the productivity advice that I saw online, this is what my life looked like. It took me about 6 months to unlearn, and I'm still in the process of unlearning the things that I'm about to share with you, but the kind of impact they've had on my life is just insane. So make sure to stick around and watch this video until the end. But before we get into it, if you're a student or a young entrepreneur and you want to learn more about the systems that can accelerate your progress, then consider subscribing to my free mail newsletter. Link is in the description. Let's begin. Myth 1. Input equals outcome. So that's one of the biggest realizations that I've had. You just cannot put in 8 hours of work and expect 8 hours of outcome. Picture this. You wake up, sit to work, and it feels amazing. You make a lot of progress and cross things off of your to-do list, but every hour it gets more difficult. Your brain begins to slow down, you become hungry, and at this point you need to take a rest to refresh your mind, drink water, or talk to somebody else. But here's the thing, it's supposed to be that way. And unfortunately, we've either been made to believe that it's not by our parents or society, or some of us have just simply worked in a 9-to-5 job and we know that a certain amount of hours equals a certain amount of output, and independently from how we feel, we're gonna get the exact same result. And here's the thing, if you optimize for output, this strategy is great, it's probably one of the best. But if you optimize for outcome, then it becomes a problem, because being busy doesn't mean being productive. And I talked about this concept which I've learned from Naval in my previous video, where he talked about working like a lion instead of working like a cow, but I'm gonna repeat myself because it's literally one of the most important lessons on productivity that I've learned this year. Work like a lion, not a cow. Lions hunt and rest, cows graze all day. And here's how you can probably go about it if you're trying to optimize for outcome, as I do. At first, define what is worth doing. Then set a clear goal and the time frame to achieving it. Work in consistent but intense bursts of energy, rest when you need to, and constantly update and refresh your mind. So I feel like there are 2 main groups of people. Group 1 are those who think that resting in daytime and sleeping more than 7 hours at night is laziness and procrastination. And the second group, which is probably 90% of the population, are those who don't even know what rest is. They think that they need more time to relax, but they don't know what relaxation actually even means. And of course, both of those groups are wrong. Here's why. You probably already know that there are numerous studies that confirm that sleep is actually one of the most important things for your health, for your productivity, for your brain function, and for your ability to create, which is the thing we're all trying to optimize for. And once again, most of people know that sleep is essential, but they choose to ignore it. Like from my experience, when I sleep for 8 hours and work for 5 hours, I get a lot more done than if I sleep the opposite way. Like if I sleep for 5 hours and work for 8, like it's just going to be horrible, honestly. I know that some people are able to survive when they don't sleep enough, but there's like a genetic mutation, which Jocko Willink, probably the only person that I've heard of, who can sleep for like 4 or 5 hours and feel perfectly rested. But like, let's be honest, you and I are probably not that way. So the only option that we have left is actually optimizing our sleep. But another thing that a lot of people miss is that rest isn't just about sleep. It's about letting your body and mind reset midday to keep the work going in the same pace. And no, not just by taking naps. You can do breathing meditations, yoga nidra, stretching, reading, literally staring at your wall for 30 minutes, which is a hell of a difficult thing to do. And if you don't believe me, you can just go and try it. An insane torture to just sit there and stare at your wall, given that you're not super exhausted. Now, as I was writing those 5 points down, I felt extremely uncomfortable because it didn't feel productive to do all of those things. Like even me talking about them felt like I'm wasting time, and I'm sure that a lot of people can resonate with this, but trust me, those things work. Alright, so as I said, the problem with the second group of people is that they don't know what rest actually is. They think it's scrolling social media, texting friends, hanging out, or watching a movie, when in reality rest is either deep sleep, walks in nature alone, or meditation. So back when I was this overweight video gamer, I clearly remember to this day having this argument with my mom when I was trying to prove my point that for me rest is playing video games. When I came back from school where I studied for like 7 hours, then I did the homework and I was really tired and exhausted and I just wanted to go and play some video games to relax. And she was trying to prove me that this isn't relaxation, this is just like oversaturation of my brain and I'm just going to fuck up my recovery, sleep and relaxation further if I go and play video games for 2 hours before sleep. And obviously that was something that really pissed me off, but of course at the end of the day mom turned out to be right. And now I hear quite a lot of people saying that they need to take a break and rest before they can get back into it, which is like there's nothing wrong with it and that's proper and that's how it's supposed to be. But I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions with it. When I worked my part-time job, I like basically all I did when I had the break, I would just grab my phone and scroll on social media, text my friends and do a bunch of useless stuff, and I saw other people do it as well, so like why not, because it made sense. It kind of relaxes me, but the thing is that it didn't relax me. It distracted me from feeling that pain or exhaustion. I'm talking about physical pain, by the way, of doing something that I don't enjoy. And that's the kind of habit that a lot of people have almost developed if they have been working on something that they don't find meaningful or enjoyable, where they need to distract themselves constantly to feel at least some kind of like pleasure and get some dopamine, so they just cannot live without scrolling or playing video games or whatever, and think that they are resting by doing that, and they wonder why they have no energy the next day whatsoever. But yeah, the main point is that don't be a part of either of those groups. I've been a part of both of those groups and honestly it didn't bring me anything good whatsoever. Rest more, and rest the right way. Block out the apps on your phone, get rid of video games and Netflix, feel bored just for 1 week. That's when you'll have the most ideas and original solutions coming into your brain. Myth number 3, more is better. Now this partially goes back to the first part about input and outcome, because there's a massive misconception that leads people to believe that they need to add more things to their life than they already have, even instead of subtracting the things that they don't need. But a thought that was stuck in my head for many months and something that I walked around with, which basically made me change, is that I thought about the highest performers and the people that I admire. Like, what are they doing? Are they doing a lot of things at once? Probably not. Maybe sometimes because they're like the CEOs and they are managing everything, but most of the time they're just focused on one big thing, which is moving them to the goal that they want to achieve the most. And honestly, you don't even need to limit your thinking into believing, like thinking that it's just about business or whatever, because it also translates into sports, spirituality, learning, or whatever. If you just focus on one thing, you're going to get exponential improvements. And this analogy is from a picture that you see now on the screen. It's from a book called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And funny enough, at the time of me reading it, I actually recorded the video which I called something along the lines of my nonsense productivity schedule as a high school student or something like that, where I talked about my morning routine where I wake up at 5 a.m, go to cold shower, meditate, and go to school, to work, to the gym, then I record a video, then I do my outreach for SMMA. So like there were so many tasks and I was so overloaded at that time, and guess what? I barely made any progress. But to be honest, I think that I had to go through that period to understand it right now and to be able to pass on this knowledge to you. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I regret it. This is just a funny story. This video is still on the channel. You can go and search it up. Now hear me out. I'm not trying to tell you to work less. Hard work is extremely important, but once again, another huge point is that I've also made it in the second chapter, but if you don't let your body properly relax and reset, your hard work means nothing, because this was one of the most painful realizations that I had in terms of that. I was like, if you watched any of my previous videos, you know that I'm really obsessed with fitness and the gym, and at the time when I didn't rest enough and I was super overloaded, my fitness progress went to shit and I felt like a complete mess. That is surely something that I don't want anyone to experience. When you eliminate the non-essentials, you create space for deep work on what will actually move the needle the most. The quality of your attention matters infinitely more than the quantity of your tasks. And with that said, in my view, the solution of being spread too thin looks something like this. Ruthlessly eliminate until only 3 to 5 core priorities remain. Everything else gets the bare minimum or nothing at all. Outsource what drains you if you can, leverage AI, build systems, which are the things that I help you build in my one-on-one coaching, so if that's something you're looking for, link is in the description. This is the paradox of high performance. Strategic elimination creates exponential output. But be ready, your mind will resist, because the productivity matrix has conditioned you that busyness equals progress, when in reality it's nowhere near close to it. So thank you for watching this video. If you found it useful, then don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to this channel, check out all the relevant links in the description. You're gonna find a couple of free guides there as well. And with all that being said, have a nice day. Bye.